Men, if your wife has lost attraction for you, it's not by accident. It's happening for a reason. And if you don't fix it, she's going to leave. Or worse, she's going to stay and resent you. Let's talk about how you can get her chasing you again.
We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Happy Monday, gentlemen. How the heck are you? Nurse Chick and I, we went to a fancy gala. I don't know how I always pronounced it gala. I don't know, potato, but Nurse Chick and I went to a fancy gala on Saturday, which was fun because Nurse Chick always wants to dress up, right? Like she's got like probably 500 ball gowns. I'm talking like red carpet level ball gowns that she has in her closet, and she always wants to wear them. But they're like, we live in the cow pasture, right? Like there's no place out here where people really tend to dress up fancy. There's nice restaurants out here. There's, was it Bin 707 and 626 on Rude and all that stuff. And they're all like artisan, fancy style restaurants. And even when you go in there, there's people that are basically wearing like jeans, flip-flops. Like it doesn't matter. No one cares out here, right? Well, anyway, there are a couple of events. There's two main hospitals out here. You have St. Mary's Hospital and you have Community Hospital. And then Nurse Chick, she works for an outfit out here. They also are pretty big. And they put on these galas, for fundraisers, right? Because they're technically nonprofits. So the hospitals put on these big galas, and I would say the fanciest one is St. Mary's Hospital. It's always black tie. Everyone's wearing a tuxedo. It's really, really swanky. Well, Nurse Chick's event was pretty swanky. There were quite a few people wearing tuxedos there. All the women were wearing fancy dresses and stuff like that. So we finally got to dress up nice. Finally got to be a place where we didn't go there showing up nice and everyone else was dressed like a slob. Although there were still people like that. There's like this, I saw this old cowboy, right? This old cowboy wearing a tuxedo top and then like his faded ass like work Wranglers. He had this big old handlebar mustache too. And I was like, man, that is such a Grand Junction thing to wear, bro. Yeah. There was a couple of guys there wearing kilts, which is weird. Like they're wearing like the full on, kilt tuxedo outfit. I'm like, two guys doing that. Usually you might see one weirdo doing that, but like there was two weirdos doing that at least. But otherwise, it was a pretty fancy place. Nurse Chick finally got to dress up nice. And when we get there, I could tell almost immediately she's never been to an event like that. It's like, I get there and she's like just deer in a headlight. Like, oh my God, I'm not the only fancy person here. Like everyone's fancy. Oh my God. Like everyone's wearing tuxedos. Like her eyes were big like this, just sort of looking around. Like, I don't even know what to do. And we get to the check-in counter and we just walk up to the check-in counter and she just was silent. Like she had no idea what to even say, and I was like, and it's funny because in my head, I'm like, this is your event, but I also recognized she was out of her element, so I was like, I'm just going to take the lead here. And I was like, oh, the reservations are under Nurse Chick's name. And so they gave me the packet and our table number. And I just led her over to the table. And then I was like, let's set our stuff down. Let's go walk around a little bit. And so we set our stuff down. We walk around and I ask her, I go, you've never been to one of these, have you? She's like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. So I told her, I'll tell the guys at Beer Club this. I told her, I go, look, you've seen James Bond, right? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay, look, we're basically James Bond here. We're not supposed to be here, but we need to blend in and pretend like we are. And I go, we need to find the guy who runs the multi-billion-dollar news organization that sunk a British ship and blamed it on China. Like that's our mission tonight, And after that, she was chill and relaxed. She had a good time. We even at the end of like all the auction and all the dinner and all that stuff, they had a live band and there was music and stuff. I took her out there dancing, and Like Nurse Chick's never really even been dancing. She's a sheltered girl. she's a sheltered lady. So it's fun. It's fun taking her to stuff like that to watch her experience new things. I love it. Anyway, let me ask you this. If you've noticed your wife pulling away, avoiding intimacy, treating you more like a roommate than a man, you're not alone. 1 in 5 marriages are practically sexless. 1 in 5. And most men don't even realize what's killing their wife's desire. Okay. And here's the worst part. The more you beg, the more you try to talk about it or do more for her, the more she pulls away. The less she respects you. And you can feel it. You can feel it in your gut. But no one ever told you why it's happening. Okay. That's exactly what we're breaking down today. And by the end of this stream, you're going to know exactly why this happened and how to turn things around fast. So if you're serious about fixing your marriage, buckle up. But before we get into all of that, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. Even if you can't stay very long, smash that like button, okay? Smash that like button. Smashing like is free, all right? If you guys are watching live right now, there's almost 30 people watching live. You know, drop a comment in the chat. I want to hear from you, okay? All that kind of stuff boosts us in the algorithm, okay? Gets us in front of more men that need some help. And then, guys, if you find value in any of these episodes, do send a super chat. I'll tell you what, on Rule Zero on Saturday, one of the Beer Club brothers, you know, he took full advantage of the Beer Club privilege rule, which is when you're a Beer Club member, you get bumped up to the next tier of super chat videos, right? And we have 3 of them. There's a $10 super chat video, a $20 super chat video, and a $30 super chat video. And the $30 super chat video is weird. It's like it's odd, it's kind of gross, it's almost even a little cringy, I would say, but it's for you dirty birdie foot fetish guys out there. And you know who you are. You know who you are, right? Well, anyway, during Rule Zero on Saturday, brother John from Beer Club, he knew exactly what he was doing, and he dropped a $20 super chat, which bumped him up to that video. And so I had to play that video on Rule Zero in front of God and everybody. And man, Ryan Stone's facial reaction to that video that was priceless. It was priceless. Ryan's just like what the fuck? What the hell was that? Exactly, Ryan Stone. Exactly. That's an excellent question. All right, guys. So let's talk about the root causes of a loss of attraction. Okay. If you guys didn't know, I do have an ebook available, a free ebook. If you go to list.comeonmanpod.com and get the ebook, She's Made You Weak, it really explains what's going on. Okay. It really explains some of this, but we're going to talk about it a little bit today. Okay. So men always ask me, right? Like, why did my wife stop wanting me? Right. But the better question is, how did you kill her attraction? Right? Attraction, it doesn't just go away, right? Not overnight. It's not an overnight thing. It's an erosion. It's a slow erosion over time. And it's usually because all the things that you were doing that made her more attracted to you in the beginning, you stopped doing all that kind of stuff, right? And you got complacent. You thought you reached like this mythical finish line. And you thought, I don't have to try anymore. I already got her. I already put a ring on it. I don't have to do anything anymore. You started farting and belching and burping in front of her and like all this kind of stuff, getting real comfortable. And now you're like, why didn't she want me anymore? Well, bro, you're not being attractive. Okay. And the thing is that like, if you're not careful, like this is going to happen to you over time and you're not even going to realize it's happening. And a lot of it is, subconsciously, she's doing little things that make you feel like it's okay to do those things, right? You know, maybe a little bit at first, and then all of a sudden, suddenly it's not okay. You know what I mean? So the key is you can never get too comfortable. You can never get too complacent. You always have to keep your head on a swivel if you're going to maintain a long-term relationship. Okay. Now, if you don't want to do all that work, like maybe long-term relationships aren't for you. Okay. But I would venture to say that a vast majority of you want that long-term relationship. Well, it's going to take a little bit of effort. at first, because once you start doing this stuff and you make it a habit, it's not work anymore. It's just something that you do, right? And that's the goal. That's the goal. You got to change your mindset about all this. You got to make all this stuff a habit. You got to turn it all into muscle memory. All right. So the first thing that really, what I especially what I talk about in the ebook, all right, going back to that, what I talk about in the ebook is this thing called the betatization process. Okay, the betatization process, and what it is it basically is a slow erosion over time. Okay, it's a slow process where a man's masculinity sort of starts eroding in her eyes. Okay, you start becoming more passive, more accommodating. You start doing things to try to make her happy, to keep the peace, like all that kind of stuff, right? Well, the more comfortable and predictable, and that's a big key too, predictable, right? If she knows your next move without even, like she's just like, oh, he's going to do this. Like if I say this, he's going to do it this, kind of thing. You're too predictable. The more you turn into the provider in her eyes, instead of her lover, she's going to start losing that attraction for you. And a lot of guys are like, but wait, I don't understand. Like, I'm supposed to be a provider. Doesn't a woman want a man to protect and provide? Yes. But a lot of guys go too far on the provider side. Okay. And the thing is, the provider side of hypergamy is the beta side of hypergamy. That's not the sexual attractive part of hypergamy. Okay. The alpha side is the sexually attractive side of hypergamy, right? That's where like she respects you. She's chasing after you. She's, when you do things like you get she doesn't mind you so much. She wants to put investment into you because you're sexually attractive to her. Right. But once all that stuff starts fading and you go hard on bringing home the bacon, she appreciates it, but that doesn't blow her skirt up anymore, And then what tends to happen is over time, she starts taking you for granted and you just start doing all this stuff for her and like you get nothing in return. Right. In the beginning, right? In the beginning of the relationship, you were bold, you were dominant, you were confident. And then over time, you started prioritizing her feelings over your own, right? Her ambitions, her goals over your own. You became too available, too agreeable, and subconsciously doing all that kind of stuff. You basically put her on a pedestal. And now she's lost respect for you over time. Okay. Man, there was a good example of this was if you guys are into pro wrestling, right? I'm a big pro wrestling guy. There's a guy named AJ Styles, right? Widely considered one of the best wrestlers in the world. And AJ Styles didn't make it to WWE until maybe 10 years ago. No, it wasn't 10 years ago. Maybe 7 or 8 years ago now. But he's been in the business for a long time, right? He really got his big start in TNA wrestling in the early 2000s. And then he went to like Ring of Honor. And then he was in New Japan for a long time. And he finally got his break like 7 or 8 years ago. Well, it turns out he could have had his break way before that, but he prioritized his wife and his wife's dreams of becoming a teacher or something over his mission in life, which was to become one of the top guys in the world and wrestle for like one of the biggest wrestling promotions, in the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, right? He put his dreams on hold to accommodate his wife's. Do you think that caused a raising of respect or a lowering of respect in her eyes? Something to think about. Okay. So what are the, so when I talk about the betatization process, like I said, you can get it in the ebook, She's Made You Weak, right? If you go to list.comeonmanpod.com, you can read about that. But there's basically 5 stages. Okay. There's 5 stages in the betatization process. The first one is testing the male. Okay. So she's testing you. This is where shit tests come in, comfort tests, all that kind of stuff. Seeking communication. Right. This is where she wants you to be more vulnerable with her. Hey, I want you to be more vulnerable. I want you to start opening up. Right. And then women take that vulnerability and use it against you a lot. Putting him to work. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Have you ever had a relationship where a woman was sort of like, she could sense that your lack of ambition was, or I'm sorry, she could sense that your your ambition levels were starting to like wane a little bit. So she pushed you and sort of prodded you into like wanting to be better. And so you're like, okay, yeah, fine, I'll go for that promotion. Yeah. And, you know, she's like, you need to go for that promotion. You need to do whatever. Right. And so you do it and you become better and you make more money and you elevate your career. That's where like you get the saying that behind every successful man is a strong woman or something. Right. That's because women they're hardwired to see the ambition in their guy and like want to push him so that he can be the best version of himself. It's actually a good quality. Okay. But then you go hard on the provider stuff. You're too emotionally was it too emotionally vulnerable? You're failing her tests all the time. You're not able to tell her no. You're not able to set boundaries. All that kind of stuff. She starts slowly over time going, man, I'm able to manipulate the shit out of this guy, turn him into a complete beta provider. And now I don't know why, but I'm not sexually attracted to him anymore, right? Because you're not doing any of the attractive stuff anymore. You've gone full beta provider mode. You're a great dad. You make lots of money. You pay all the bills, but you've also gotten fat probably. And, you do all this type of comfort level stuff where it's all very nice. You walk on eggshells. Well, now she starts questioning. This is where like hypergamy kicks in, right? Which we're going to get into in a second. But this is where she's like, wait a second. I was able to manipulate this guy and mold him into this thing that I don't like anymore. And now I'm going to degrade him. I'm going to emasculate him. I'm going to make fun of him. And like, I'm going to be an epic bitch to him and all this kind of stuff. And then he's just going to keep taking it. And now self-determination comes in. And that's where she either cheats on you or she leaves you, right? She goes and files for divorce. Okay. So that's the betaization process. And a lot of that's driven by women's hypergamy. Okay. So hypergamy, this is quotes from Rollo, right? But hypergamy doesn't care about how much you love her, right? Hypergamy doesn't care about the vows you made on your wedding day. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. It only cares if you are her best option. And when we say the best option, women need both traits. They need alpha bucks and beta bucks, alpha fucks and beta bucks, right? Women need both alpha fucks and beta bucks. And so if you're only beta bucks guy and you're not alpha fucks, she's going to seek it outside the relationship. What she needs both. She needs both of these things. That's why some guys are like, okay, well, why is she, if it's not about, if it's truly hypergamy and she's always looking for her best option, why does she bang the pool boy? Well, that's why, right? Because she's got the money. She's got you being a beta provider, but she doesn't have the sexual attractiveness anymore. So she bangs the pool boy who's sexually attractive. He just doesn't have the money. You understand? Like it's dual mating hypothesis kind of thing, right? But if she also finds a guy that she finds more sexually attractive and makes more money, like, she'll dump your ass and go for that guy, right? Ideally she wants it all in the same guy. Okay. If you're out on the dating circuit and you're banging all these 304s because you're the pool boy, but she won't commit to you and you really want a commitment, and it's because she wants to be with the guy with more money. Like, do you see where this is going here? Like, there's a reason why women do what they do, and it really can be best described using the dual mating strategy as opposed to the mate switching hypothesis. But sometimes mate switching happens because of the hypergamous nature. Do you understand? Okay. And here's the thing, right? So, if she perceives you've fallen off, whether that's physically, emotionally, or in your ambition, her attraction is going to decline. It's just going to decline over time. Okay. And here's the thing, like a lot of guys especially in the MGTOW space, they hear about this women's hypergamous nature and they're like, oh, women are evil. They're evil for doing this. They're not evil. Okay. They can't help it. It's biological. It's in their wiring. Okay. They need, and if you think about it for like why they need this from a survival standpoint, if you look at caveman times, right? They need a strong, dominant leader, okay? Not a guy that's going to let himself get all walked over, okay? Because a guy who lets himself get all walked over, he's going to let other people take advantage of him. He's going to get let people are going to steal his money. He's not going to get paid as much. He's not going to be able to acquire resources. All the stuff she needs for her survival and her children's survival. Okay, she's not evil for it. This is a survival mechanism that's hardwired, programmed into her DNA. Okay. So it's okay. Well, what do we do about it? Right. Now we know this, right? Well, know something about yourself too. Men are hardwired to want to spread our seed far and wide and have, unlimited access to unlimited pussy options, right? We are polygamists. We are not hypergamous, right? So that's our hardwiring. Are we evil for that? No, we're not evil for that. That's just how we're wired. Okay. This concept of monogamy is a social construct that, people have put together to try to make society a better place. But we're not, like, as humans, we're not naturally wired for that. Okay. So it's like, it takes a little bit of effort to make that hypergamy, or not hypergamy, the monogamy work, right? You understand? Okay, cool. And then, like women, and it makes sense too, right? Like women are attracted to strength. They're not attracted to neediness, right? Men often make the mistake of proving their love by over-explaining, seeking reassurance, trying to fix things through words, right? Trying to squash any kind of tension in the relationship. But words don't turn women on necessarily, right? Action and presence do, right? And when I say that, what are you talking about? Alan Roger Curry says mode 1. It's like, it's all about, sexual language and stuff like that. Yes, words do turn women on. Okay. But you know what I mean, right? Like you can't negotiate desire is really what I'm getting at here. You can't convince her through logic and reasoning why she should still love you. Okay. Your actions, being attractive and not being unattractive, are why she's going to keep that attraction to you. You understand? That's what I mean by that. And if you start acting like a nice guy, hoping she's going to reward you with sex, right? That's what we call a covert contract. You do nice things, hoping to get a cookie. She's going to feel manipulated and repulsed. She's going to look at that kind of stuff like a bribe for sex, and she's not going to want to do it. You know what I mean? So now that's essentially why attraction erodes over time. Okay. Now, if any of this resonates with you, don't worry. Don't worry. You can fix this. This can be fixed. It's not always so far gone that you can't turn it around. Okay. There's a way to fix it. But first, we need to understand what keeps attraction going in the first place. Okay. And before we get into that, I want you guys to follow me on social media. Okay. The links are in the description for that. I'm on all the good platforms. I've mentioned it several times, but get on the email list, get the ebook, She's Made You Weak. It'll explain why this attraction, it goes into more in depth on why this is happening. Okay. And then if you really want to go into depth and start working on turning this dynamic around, get my ebook, or not my ebook, it is available on Kindle, but get the book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. It's available in hardcover, paperback, Kindle, and on Audible. The Audible edition is selling like hotcakes. People are buying the shit out of the Audible edition, and I get it, right? Like, can you imagine sitting on the couch reading this book, and your wife's like, "Why are you reading a book called Get Her to Fuck You Again?" And you're like, "Because you're not fucking me, bitch," right? Like, can you imagine that? I can see most guys not wanting to do that. So the audio version is probably a better fit for those guys. But I'll tell you what, if you're afraid of your wife seeing you read this kind of book, that's a part of the problem right there. And you need this book probably more now than ever. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic here.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
Yes, indeed. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Monday." Nurse Chick, she gets this.
So naughty.
Yes, she is.
I'm gonna come.
Oh, you know it. Let's see here. Kamal was saying he was half expecting me in a suit and tie today. Forget it, dude. I didn't even wear a suit and tie to the event because Nurse Chick did tell me it was black tie, and I was like, "What do you mean black tie? Like I have to go get a tuxedo?" And she's like, no, a suit. And I go, I don't own a full suit, and she goes and sends me pictures from last year. And there was like these like fat slobs wearing, nice jeans and like button up shirts with a tie. And I'm like, oh, okay. So my sport coat and like, I'll throw a tie on, this time. And she's like, yeah, the sport coat and stuff like that. I was like, okay. So I wore my typical sport coat with a dress shirt and a tie. And then like my nicest, dark blue jeans and my nice cowboy boots. And so that's what I wore. I was still pretty casual, but I was like, I call it like Western slope fancy. I was Western slope fancy for sure. Oh man. Let's see. Are you drinking out of a vase today? No, this is a beer stein. I'm drinking the booze early this morning. No, I'm just kidding. So in the morning, I like to drink some coffee and then I switch over to energy drinks. And I've been drinking like Monsters and Red Bulls and stuff like that. But man, those are expensive. I was looking at Bucked Up. Bucked Up is an energy drink that they make out here in Utah, and it's outrageously expensive. And I was like, man, I can't remember how, but like when I was searching for energy drinks on Walmart's website, they came up with like their house brand energy drink packets, right? Where you just mix it with a little bit of water, and they're way cheaper. They're like $1 for a 10 pack. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. So I just bought like 1,000 of those. So this is water and energy drink mix. It's not a fucking vase, dude. Fucking vase. Hey, Viking Paradigm's in the house. What's up, man? Fit Pill Red's in the house. He says, let's see here. He says a lot of stuff. Let's see. Where is it? Let's see. Oh yeah. For Saturday's video, he's like, you got some good feet in that video, man. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah. I was looking for some good feet for you foot fetish weirdos. Oh hell. Erkin's in the house. What's up, Erkin? What's going on, man? Kamal. Oh yeah. We've already talked about Kamal. Guys, smashing like is alpha. Okay. It's an alpha move. All right. Energy drinks are expensive and can be dangerously unhealthy. Yeah, well, dangerous, my middle name, baby. Yeah, these are way cheaper. And I think they're a little bit better. They're not as bad as some of those other energy drinks. Okay. Guys, when men notice here, let's talk about this first here. If your guys are getting value out of this, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, okay? Because what I'm about to talk about next is the biggest mistake men make when trying to fix dead bedrooms, and it's the reason most guys fail. Okay? So when men notice their wife pulling away, they do the worst possible things trying to win her back. So here's what's not to do, all right? Negotiating desire. You can't negotiate desire, and I see it a lot in my DM conversations with guys on Instagram, when I ask them, so what have you tried? Like, what have you tried to get that spark back? A lot of them are like, well, I tried talking to her about it. I tried talking to her about how it makes me feel that she's rejecting me and all that kind of stuff. You can't, women are basically don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. Okay. So you can't negotiate that. You can't negotiate attraction. Okay. If you have to ask for permission to do things, if you have to ask her to be more attracted to you, you've already lost. You've already lost, man. Okay. Have you ever tried making a deal with her, right? Or maybe she says something to you along the lines of, if you did more dishes around the house, I'd probably want to fuck you more, right? Or, hey, if you wouldn't clean the gutters, I'd probably want to have sex more. Okay. I'm just so tired because I have to do everything around here. Right. So you try making more deals, right? Like, okay, well, if I do more around the house, then will you sleep with me? That's a covert contract right there, right? I mean, that's actually not a covert contract because you're trying to negotiate desire at that point, right? But I'll tell you what, you doing more chores around the house is not making you more sexually attractive. It's not making her vagina wet, okay? Women actually hate that, okay? They're like, wait a second, is he trying to buy sex for me by doing the dishes? Now she feels like a prostitute. Attraction it's a subconscious response, okay? It's something like she can't control it. You know what I mean? Like love is a choice. Attraction isn't a choice. She's either attracted to you or she isn't. And if she's not, it's because you're not doing things that make her feel attracted to you. Okay. And so like doing the chores around the house isn't sexy. I don't care how many stupid TikTok videos where they have a guy mopping the floor and the wife is looking like, oh shit, that's so fucking sexy. She doesn't feel that way. No woman really feels that you mopping more is fucking sexy. They don't. Okay. It's just not a thing. Get it out of your fucking head. Some guys apologize for being a man, right? Like they think that, and it's because society sort of talks about how being manly is toxic, right? It's toxic masculinity. Oh, and all men want it's sex and it's disgusting and all this kind of stuff. No, don't apologize for that. Like you need that. Like men need sex. Like we need water. We need sex. Like we need fucking oxygen. Okay. And there's no reason to be in a committed relationship if you're not getting sex. Okay. So a lot of men, they apologize for it. They apologize for wanting sex and they downplay their desires, right? Have you ever heard a guy say, well, sex isn't the most important thing in a relationship, right? Sex isn't the only thing. That's usually a guy deluding himself, trying to, justify why his wife not fucking him is actually okay. Now it's okay because we're best friends. We're best friends. Well, dude, the reason why she's not fucking you is because you're in the friend zone. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys will do that. They'll downplay their sexual desires thinking that it'll make her more comfortable. All right. In reality, it makes you look weak. Women actually are more sexually attracted to guys that embrace that sexual energy, that sexual power. Right. And one of the things like you'll find on the dating circuit, and one of the things I talk about it in I think I talk about it in pretty much all my books, but this thing called the left eye trick. And the reason why I talk about it so much is because it's such a powerful thing. But if you're on a date with a woman, and let's say you're on the dating circuit, you're not married, right? But you're on the dating circuit. If you're sitting across from a woman, we had this whole debate in Beer Club the other day about what's more effective on a first date, right? Sitting next to her or sitting across from her. You can do either or, like they both work, right? But if you're sitting across from her, one of the benefits of that is that you can do the left eye trick where you look into her left eye. So as you're looking at me, right? I'm looking at the camera. As you're looking at me, you look into this eye. All right. And when you're on a date, you really focus in on that left eye and you want to think sexual thoughts. Think about how you're going to ravage her, like how you're going to pull all of her clothes off and like pull her hair and do dirty things, right? You're not saying this, you're thinking it. Okay. But as you're thinking it and you're talking to her and stuff, and you're just like, man, you're so fucking hot. I'm going to rip your fucking clothes off. Right. She can almost feel that shit, right? She can feel that sexual tension. And when she feels that, she's going to feel more sexually drawn to you. And that's you fucking owning your sexuality and not apologizing for it. Like, I am a man. I want to fuck a hot woman. Like, that's what I'm wired for. It's nature. It's biology. Own that shit. Okay. Don't apologize for it. Because apologizing for it and downplaying your needs really, at the end of the day, turns women off. All right. It makes you look like a fucking pussy. All right. Women want a man that owns his masculinity, not a guy that suppresses it. Okay. If you're trying to suppress your masculinity and apologize for it, you look like a beta fucking pussy. All right. Some might call those guys progressive liberals, but we're not going to get into politics on this show. Okay. So I'm not going to say that. Acting like a roommate instead of a lover. Okay. A woman needs sexual tension. She needs unpredictability. She needs excitement. Okay. If every conversation is about errands and chores and the kids and, the day-to-day stuff, she's not seeing you as a man. She's seeing you as a coworker. So one of the things that I talk about in my first book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, I have a whole chapter on maintaining attraction in a long-term relationship. And one of the things I talk about is the concept of ABS, always be seducing. Okay. That means that you always want to be flirting with your girl, always. All right. You always want to be sprinkling in sexual innuendos at inappropriate times. You always want to be doing that kind of stuff, right? Not, like you can have conversations about the kids and the chores and shit that needs to get done like that. Like you do have to manage a household, but you also want to be playful with her about it and keep that sexual tension going by sprinkling on in sexual shit, right? You want to keep the relationship about you and her are lovers first and foremost. Everything else is secondary. Okay. That's going to keep that attraction going in the long term. She's not going to look at you like a roommate or a best friend, right? Or a partner. Okay. And this is why date nights don't work if there's no polarity. All right. And a lot of people, and one of the things I talked about here is unpredictability, right? A lot of people, what they'll try to do to try to fix a relationship and try to bring that spark is they'll try to have a scheduled date night. Okay, Friday nights are date nights. And then they'll do the same thing over and over again, right? Like, and I like to say like Pizza Hut in a movie, because that's what my parents literally did when I was growing up. It was always Pizza Hut in a fucking movie. Like that was it. But that's boring. Okay. So you want to, like, date nights are good. And even better when there is that sexual polarity and chemistry, and you're always flirting with your wife and you're always doing sexual innuendos and she's doing it back and you guys are having fun together doing that kind of stuff. That's the ideal situation, right? But if you're trying to regain that by doing date nights, it's important to not just do like Friday nights date night, right? You want to, like, maybe if you do Friday nights for 3 weeks in a row, you switch it up and do it on a Tuesday night 1 week, right? You skip a week and then do it 2 nights 1 week. You know what I mean? Like, you want to keep her guessing. You want to throw in mystery dates every once in a while where you're like, okay, I've got this planned out. Grab your shoes and wear this thing. This is what we're doing. Or you don't tell her what you're doing. You're like, just meet me, or I'll take you out Saturday night, 7 p.m., that kind of thing, right? That kind of stuff removes the predictable nature of your relationship and keeps things unpredictable, keeps her guessing, keeps that mystery alive. It keeps that excitement going. Okay. These are all things that you can do. So we've covered why she's lost attraction. We've covered what mistakes make it worse. And now it's time to really start talking about some solutions here. Okay. Guys, before we get into that though, do consider joining Beer Club, right? beer.comeonmanpod.com. A lot of the guys in the chat, hey, if you guys are in Beer Club right now, drop an emoji or something, like a beer emoji or something in the chat if you're in Beer Club right now watching. But there's a lot of guys in Beer Club. A lot of them show up for these. A lot of the guys you see in the chat are Beer Club brothers. Beer Club is a very active Telegram community. It's a group of guys who get together, swap notes, hold each other accountable, and they're all trying to level up in various areas of their lives. And it's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch some of these guys really put in the work, and really you see a lot of progress over time. We have a lot of guys that have lost considerable amounts of weight. We've got guys that have gotten in really good shape. One guy has basically cured himself of type 2 diabetes. That same guy has also completely turned his marriage around, all while being in Beer Club and swapping notes and doing the work and participating. All right. Now, sometimes we'll get guys in there that'll join Beer Club and won't participate, and they don't get any value out of it. Well, you only get value out of stuff if you participate, just like anything else in life, right? You get what you put into it. Okay. So if you're just going to join Beer Club and just be a wallflower, you might not get as much out of it as someone who's going to participate, swap notes, chat, encourage other people, maybe give some of your own advice and recommendations if you've had success in certain areas. You know what I mean? Like, be a member of the community, and you're going to get a lot more value out of it. So join that. Go to beer.comeonmanpod.com to become a Beer Club brother. And then if you are in a situation like this where your wife has lost attraction for you, you've read all these books, you just can't figure out how to apply it. Okay. Cause I have clients that are like that, where they've read all the material. They just didn't know how it applied in certain areas of their marriage until they started working with me. And then we get together and we have structured calls every week where we get together. I give you challenges. I give you homework. There's things to work on. There's things to start looking for. But on top of that, when you run into a certain challenge that's specific to your situation, you can hit me up 24/7 on Telegram. You have direct access to me. Okay. So if you're like, hey, she's doing this, I don't know if we've talked about that yet, I can guide you through that stuff like in the moment, right? I can say, oh, if she's doing that, this is what you need to do in the moment. Okay. And then take that and run with it. And then we could talk about it at our next session. We could talk about other strategies you can use that would be more effective in those types of environments. Okay. But it really helps guys solidify all this type of material so they can apply it in their current relationship and start turning that power dynamic around in a good way. So if that's you, if like your wife's not fucking you anymore, like she's lost respect for you, she's cold and indifferent, and you really want to turn things around and avoid hundreds of thousands of dollars in divorce, then book a call with me. Go to call.fixeddeadbedrooms.com. All right. Here we go. So before we get into this fix, I want to hear from you guys in the chat. All right. We've got about 50 people watching. If I want to hear from you. What's the number one mistake you think men make when attraction fades? Right. So, and if you're watching the replay, drop a comment below. If you're listening on Spotify, drop a comment below. Okay. But what do you think, in your opinion, what's the number one mistake you think men make when attraction fades? Okay. I want to hear from you guys in the chat. You guys are awfully quiet. Okay. Oh no, there we go. Dondra says, pursuing. Guys, over pursuing is the number one mistake Dondra thinks. All right. Anybody else? Come on now. Erkin says accommodating. Okay. All right. He says accommodating. All right. Just keep them coming in. Okay. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. But one thing you can do to start turning this around is rebuilding your masculine frame. Okay. Working on your frame, your mentality, your emotional control. Okay. 2 excellent books for that is Ryan Stone, Praxeology Volume 1 Frame. And that's where Ryan really breaks down strategies to reprogram your mindset. There's a lot of journaling activities and stuff like that. But what Ryan basically describes frame as is a tetrahedron, right? Or you could think of it as like a pyramid or like a tripod, right? Where each leg of the tripod represents a pillar that holds up your vision. Okay. So you have your physical pillar, you have your emotional pillar, and you have your intellectual pillar. Okay. Reading books like Get Her to Fuck You Again is going to help you with your intellectual pillar. But having emotional durability is going to help you in that area. That's where AJ's book on psychology emotion is going to come in. Right. And then physical pillar, that's just going to the gym and working out. You know what I mean? Rafe Diantor also has a great book on power frame identity, and it's a short read. Okay. But rebuilding that masculine frame. Okay. That's going to be one of the best ways to start turning this dynamic around. Okay. Women respond to dominance, confidence, and certainty. Okay. If you're acting unsure or insecure, she feels it. And it's all about like what women feel. You know what I mean? Like it's all about how she feels in the moment. Logic can have nothing to do with it. She could be the safest person in the world. You could say, well, I've got 1 million guns and I make good money. Like, why does she feel like unsafe? You know what I mean? It's like, it's because of the way you're acting. It's just, it's a feeling. It doesn't even make logical sense. Okay. But they need that dominance, confidence, assertiveness, those types of traits to feel safe and secure in the relationship, because they want to know like, oh, he's my rock. Like he can handle shit. Right. So in order to sort of start regaining that, you really want to work on your mental frame and make yourself your own mental point of origin. And you want to stop seeking permission, right? Start setting the tone. You want to speak with conviction. You want to take ownership of things. You want to start leading the relationship. So a good example of this was at the beginning of the podcast when I talked about Nurse Chick and how we went to that gala. Okay. That's a perfect example of leading. where I recognized in the moment she was like a deer in the headlight, out of her element. And I just took ownership. I was like, okay, well, we need to get in. So I didn't like get mad at her, like, hey, this is your event, like, and get mad at her about it. I just took ownership. I said, hey, the reservations are under her name, right? And then I got all the information. I was like, okay, we're at table 20. Let's go find table 20, right? I took ownership of that moment, grabbed her hand, led her, to the table. That's a perfect example of something that you can do, is just have that mentality of, I'm the leader. I always take ownership. You know what I mean? That's one great way. Dread game, right? Dread. Introducing dread. Scarcity creates desire. Scarcity is what creates value. You know what I mean? Like think about diamonds versus, or diamonds isn't a good example because honestly, diamonds are artificially scarce. They're actually a pretty abundant resource, but the De Beers company artificially creates scarcity to increase value. Okay. But gold is a rare metal. It's very hard to dig out of the ground. It's not that easy to accumulate gold. And so because it's scarce, it's worth a lot of money, right? It's got value. It's got a lot more value because it's a scarce resource. Whereas water, which we could argue is more important because you can't live without water, it's such an abundant resource on this planet that we don't value it as much, right? You can get water anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, was it the 3/4 of our planet is water? Like we're going to be fine with water. Okay. We got plenty of water to go around. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like, no, water is a scarce resource. That's what the climate change is. It's not. We have this thing called a water cycle. Okay. It goes up in the sky, it rains back down, it goes in the water, it evaporates, it goes back up the sky. It does it over and over again. It doesn't like leave the planet. It's not going anywhere. Some of it might get, caught up in ice caps and stuff, but it's not going anywhere. It's still stored there. Anyway, we can argue that all you want, but scarcity creates desire, right? The moment she thinks she can't, the moment that she thinks that you can't get another woman, she stops wanting you. Okay. But when she starts seeing that other women want you and that you might leave her for someone else, because she's thinking like a woman, right? She's got to filter everything through her own solipsism. And this is what women do, right? They're always looking for their best possible option. And if they don't have their best possible option, they start looking for their next best possible option. Well, if she starts thinking like, oh, I'm not adding value to his life. He's not taking what I'm saying seriously anymore. He's not trying to like overly accommodate me. He's being funny and outgoing. He has a social life now. When we go out, women laugh at his dumb jokes and they're making eyes at him. Holy shit, I might lose this guy. Right? Well, that starts getting her hamster wheel going, right? So you want to start prioritizing your own growth, right? You want to start working on your fitness. You want to work on your social proof. You actually have to go out and talk to people and be more social again. You don't have to go out and overtly flirt with people. You don't have to go and get numbers from chicks. Okay. You don't actually have to cheat on your wife. You can just be more social, right? Go out, be more social, get that social proof, be a man of purpose again. Start like, if you've let your job get stagnant because you've got comfortable, stop. Like give a shit about your job again. Give a shit about your career. Get ambitious again. Try to get to that next level, right? She's going to start noticing this stuff, right? And you want to let her see that other women are noticing you. Like, and you don't want to dissuade it. If she comes up and she's like, hey, that girl was hitting on you, be like, well, of course she was. You know what I mean? Like you want to own that shit. Okay. You want to become an irreplaceable man. All right. Instead of focusing on getting her back, which a lot of guys are trying to get my wife. How do I get my wife to want to fuck me again? Right. That's the initial motivation. Okay. Instead of focusing on getting her back, focus on making yourself so fucking valuable that she doesn't want to lose you. Right. You have to work on your own personal sexual market value to get there. So that means you got to focus on you. You can't be focusing on how like her reactions to you and what she's doing. right? You focus on you, focus on being more confident, focus on being more in shape, focusing on having better emotional durability and emotional control, having a better mental frame. Focus on, leveling up in all areas of your life, including your career. Get back into that. Get ambitious again, right? Do all this kind of shit and focus on you. Go hard focusing on you. And she's either gonna get on board or she won't. Okay, but 9 times out of 10, she's gonna get on board. Okay, you want to develop the mindset that I am the prize. Okay, now a lot of guys in the space talk about how, oh, you're the prize, bro, you're the prize, but a lot of you guys aren't the prize. Okay, your wife certainly doesn't see you as the prize, right? So you can't just delusionally tell yourself that. You literally have to do some fucking work in order to become a prize. Men have a burden of performance. We just do, right? Women, if they want to save the relationship, they know how to do it, right? Belly's full, balls empty. It's pretty fucking simple. Men are simple creatures, right? They know how to do it, but they have to want to do it. And if you're not inspiring them to want to do it, they're not going to do it, right? So guys have this burden of performance of being the best possible version of themselves, right? That's what we do. So you have to become the kind of guy that she doesn't want to lose. And you only do that by raising your sexual market value. Okay. But the thing here is that if you develop the mindset of I am the prize, it becomes easier to start believing it when you start acting like it and start doing shit that a prize guy that a chick actually wants to be with, would do. Right? A guy who takes care of his physical fitness, a guy that is ambitious, a guy that is confident, a guy that's funny and has a good social circle, like all that kind of stuff, you will become the prize. Okay. But if she doesn't value you, you also have the mindset like, hey, I'm working on all this shit. And if she doesn't want to get on board, someone else is going to realize that I'm the prize. Okay. But once you realize that and you have that mentality and you're focusing on yourself, a lot of times she's going to start noticing it. She's going to start testing you, and you just got to learn how to handle it. Okay. And a lot of that, you can learn that in my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. You can learn that by working with me one-on-one. Okay. So let's summarize here. So attraction's not lost overnight. It's a slow erosion of your masculine presence over time. We call that the betatization process. You can't talk about it. You can't negotiate that desire, okay? You have to be about it. You have to take action. You have to start leveling yourself up. Think about what you would do if she dumped your ass tomorrow, okay? What would you do? Would you just like crawl under a rock and crawl up in a bottle? Maybe some of you guys would do that. Or would you go, all right, well, fuck, I guess better get back out in the dating circuit. I haven't done this in 20 years. I don't know what I'm doing, right? But maybe I should hit the gym. Maybe I should start losing this beer gut, right? That's what guys tend to do when they're back on the dating circuit because they're trying to attract a new girl. Well, fucking start doing that shit now. Okay. She is the perfect sparring partner right now. She's seen all your bullshit. And if you can run game on your wife, you can run game on fucking anybody. So have that mindset. Like I'm going to, at the very least, work on myself and use her as a practice dummy while I do all this shit. Right. She either gets on board or she doesn't, but I'm going to be the best fucking attractive guy in my area. Okay. So you can't negotiate desire. You must inspire it. And stop chasing her, stop begging, stop trying to talk it out. Okay. Take action, reclaim your frame, right? Women are like cats, right? The more you chase them, the more you run away. The more you act like, I don't give a fuck, do what you're going to do. I'm working on me now. Right? The more you do that, the more they get curious going, hey, why aren't you paying attention to me? And then they show you your butthole. That's how that works. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Tune into the podcast on Wednesday. We are going over chapter 8 in Get Her to Fuck You Again, which is all about emotional resilience and frame. So one of the things I talked about today was improving your mental frame. We're going to talk about that on Wednesday, which is interesting because usually I reserve Fridays for Frame Fridays, but Wednesday we've been going over my book. So that's what we're going to go over Wednesday. All about emotional resilience and frame. It's one of the hardest things for men to get a handle on, in my opinion. It really is, right? A lot of guys think of ourselves as these rational beings, but we react usually with anger. But we do react emotionally to a lot of things, and it's usually with anger. And if we just got that in check, if we were more cool cucumbers when our wives did shit that pissed us off, like things would be a much better dynamic, right? If you just looked at your wife like, oh, she's the most responsible teenager in the house, and everything she does, you just sort of find funny and amusing and adorable, like you would have way less relationship problems. Okay. And that is when we talk about, you know, what's the number one thing killing attraction? I would actually say men's emotional control and frame is the number one thing. It's the number one thing men need to work on to fix that. Oh, hey, look, Erkin sent, it looks like a 10 sex, which is, God bless. It's, what's the name of that? It's Swedish money, right? Swedish money. All right. He sent a $10, so I'm gonna give him the bouncing bubs today.
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, viewers, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
He says it's a Swedish krona. I don't know why I can't mentally store that information. One of these days I'll get it, Erkin. I'll stop being annoying about it. But all right. So guys, yeah, tune in Wednesday. We're going to be talking about emotional resilience and frame. Other than that, we will see you guys hopefully on social media. But yeah, we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.